Okay, so we'll discuss about OAF extension. Okay, so last class we discussed about the OAF personalization. Like we just saw the basic features of OAF personalization. And coming to this one, it's called extension. So generally, maybe if you hear the word RICE W, right? RICE W,
Yes.
reports, interfaces, conversion, extension. So that is what extension is all about. Okay, this is one of the extension of the RICE W.
Okay.
So when you say extension, generally this is applicable. See, like whatever the functionality which is there for OAF extension, this will be applicable for the custom pages as well as seeded pages. But we will not work with the custom pages generally because you already have a source code, right? We can design whatever way we want. That is why we never go for extension for the custom pages. That's the reason. But
Okay.
for the seeded pages, we will not have the source code, isn't it? We'll just have the binary code. We'll just have the class code, the class files. So that's the reason we have to go for extension. We cannot modify any seeded page directly, right? We cannot modify the PG file. We should not do it, isn't it?
Okay.
That's the reason we will go for either personalization or extension based on the requirement. So one more thing you have to understand is when you get a requirement, you have to decide whether you have to go for personalization or you have to go for extension. So that depends upon like what is the functionality can be done by personalization and extension. Then only we can decide, right? Until unless we know what personalization can do and what extension can do, we cannot decide we should go for either personalization or extension. Okay, so we'll get much clarity once we do some samples. Let me get into this one now. So in our discussion we always prefer to go on only CO as well as Vivo extension. Okay, so when you say extension, one is the first and foremost important part is controller extension, and other extensions are the Vivo extension, nothing but the BC4G objects. Like we have Vivo extension, we have AM extension, and also entity object extension. So in the BC4G object, how many generally we have the major important components, right? The Vivo, AM, and Evo. So we can perform extension at totally 4 levels. One is CVO and the remaining 3 BC4G objects. Okay.
Okay.
So, let's start with the CO extension first. Okay. So first of all, like when you go with the CO extension, we already know that what is the capability of a CO, right? The CO is nothing but like which is a event handler in the OAF framework, right? Which is we use for the purpose of handling the events. Now in the extension scenario, like what is the process? Like for the extension, we have to just follow some particular process. The coding wise, whatever we have done earlier will be applicable here also. There is no separate special kind of file. The whatever the CO which we have been doing, the same thing will be like the same coding will be writing here. But initially we followed the approach of writing all the business logic in the AM. But here when you perform CO extension, we prefer to write in the CO itself. There are many reasons for that, but
Okay.
I'll go one by one. Now, the first thing is like a CO extension can be done at various levels. Okay, so we will not replace the we will not be replacing the seeded file. Okay, we are extending the business functionality. Understand here? It's nothing but like you are adding some features to the existing business logic. That is why it is called extension. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. So like this is like it just shows this particular slide. Like in this particular PPT we have the step-by-step process. How do you perform a CO extension? Okay, but anyway you can refer to this PPT, but let me show you the real sample now. Okay,
Okay.
so whatever the approach what we follow, this will be applicable to any module. Okay, I may be showing some sample in the PO area or maybe GL area, but it doesn't mean any module. We can you should be capable enough to work in any module. Okay, for technical consultant, never consider any module as your preference choice. Any module you should work on. Okay, because we just need to understand the process. If you know the process, the same thing will be applicable to any module. So let's see any of the sample here, any of the standard page. Are you aware of any of the standard page? Any module you generally work on?
We work on AP.
AP, okay. Okay, payables. Let me find out if I have any OAF pages here.
Okay.
Payables, generally we have these customers, right? Suppliers, yeah.
Yes.
So what I can do is, in the payable responsibility, if you observe, these are the forms, right? These things which I highlighted, funds available, fruit details, employee details, these are D2K forms, right? Oracle forms. But here this is a OAF page. By just seeing the icon, we can tell that, right?
Yes.
See the difference in the icon. Now I'll just click on supplier entry form. I'll go with supplier entry form here. Now, what is our requirement is like when you are working on something, we have to know what is the requirement, basic thing. Okay. The first basic thing is like a demonstration of CY extension. How do you perform CY extension? We are not considering what is the functionality now. We just want to know the process involved in performing a CY extension. That's what we want to do now. Okay. Understand?
Yeah.
So now, like I'm in this page. Okay. So let's say I'll click on create supplier. So I'm in the supplier page and I'll click on create supplier. Okay. Okay. Now here I want to perform CY extension in this page. I want to perform CY extension in this particular page. Okay. So initial logic is we just want to extend, we just want to perform CY extension for this particular create supplier page. So what are the steps involved in performing CY extension? The first basic thing is we are working on create supplier page, CY extension. The first thing is find the page name. Okay. I'm into the page path. This is the first thing.
Okay.
Always you have to do this particular one, steps. Find the page name. How do we do it? Click on about this page. Now click on about this page here. So if you're if you in your particular instance, if about this page is not enabled, what you do is make sure that FND diagnostic profile is enabled. There's a profile value called FND diagnostics. Make sure that that will have a value S for your user or maybe site level. Okay.
Okay. It's a profile option, right?
Yes. If this profile value is yes, then only about this page link will be enabled. Else it will not be enabled. Okay.
Okay.
Now we just open the about this page and it shows the page path. Right. This is the page path. This is a page path. And also if you observe, it shows the CO, right? The CO name and AM name.
Yes.
Supplier SUPP CRT CO. Supplier create CO. Right? Buyer supplier AM. But here it shows the CO name, but it doesn't show the total path. That's another thing. It shows the CO name, but it doesn't show the total path. And also we cannot assume that the CO will be always in WebUI because it's Oracle standard. It either follows or it breaks its own rule. So that's the reason we can't take it by default that your CO may be available here. Okay. Best thing is always validate whether CO is available in that or not. So what you can do now, I know the page path, but how do I know where the CO is? How can we find?
There is one table is there, no? Where you
Yeah.
will be finding it out earlier.
Yes, right. You remember the initial class I showed you. Yeah.
Yes, actually, I don't remember the table name, but the path we are passing the CEO name and we're finding out.
Yes, yes. Okay, so whenever you work in the extension area, these kind of things these kind of tips will help you a lot.
Okay.
And especially in support project. Okay. Now the easier thing is you can try like this: JDR details, print document. Okay, and pass the. If you know the page name, this is the easier one. Let us say if you don't know the page name, if you just know the CO name, only the JDR utils table, that is the only thing which will help you out. There is no other way.
Yes, yes.
Now as we know the page name, so we can easily find out from here. Okay, print document. Now we got the XML from the MDS layer. Now here if you observe the XML information, so can you see here page layout region, function, and does it show CO name? Yes. Can you see control class?
Okay.
Okay. Control class is equal to, it shows the path of the CO. Now from the page name we could find what is the CO, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Now the next thing is we want to perform the extension of this one. Okay. Now when you want to extend something, what we have to do is this particular class file has to be available in your JDeveloper. We don't have Java file. Observe here. For all the seeded pages, you will not have any Java file at all. Now what we have to do is, Now I'll go to Java top. I'll go to Java top, and the left side I'll go to the JDeveloper My Classes folder. My classes. So now what I'm trying to do is when I want to perform some, I want to extend, right, in a Java language. If you want to extend, let us say I want to create a new CO will extend the existing CO like this. So this existing CO class has to be there, then only I can extend that. It's like OOPS concept, right? OOPS concept, inheritance.
Yes.
Inheritance. The son will have a value only the parent exists, right? It's like you're extending the legacy of your parent. So now the same thing here, we are extending in a CO which is already there. So unless you have a CO in your JDeveloper, you cannot extend it, because if you have to mention what you want to extend, right? That's the reason what we have to do is this particular class file which is available at this package level. Can you see? Oracle apps, POS, supplier, web UI, this one. So we have to copy this particular CO file and also make sure that the file should be available in the same package structure, isn't it?
Correct.
So whenever in the Java, whenever you copy any object, always the package naming convention follows very important role. Okay. Now just copying the CO file will not be enough, right? We have to make sure that directory structure exists. So now left hand side, I'm at this level, my classes, October section, my classes. I already have an Oracle folder. If you don't have Oracle folder, what you can do is you can simply create Oracle folder. See, I can directly copy the total Oracle folder from Java top to my classes, but the problem is that will be around 1 GB. You will have a large number of files, right?
Okay.
So that's the reason what we have to do is just initially create the directory structure, Oracle apps, and here also go to Oracle and go to apps. Sorry, Oracle. No, 1 minute. Oracle apps, and what is the other one? POS. Now POS. So here left hand side I have Oracle and apps, and I'll create a directory called POS like this. Okay.
Okay.
POS. I created POS, and after that what we have? Supplier and web UI. So now we can either move supplier folder, because the supplier folder may be very much less, so I can just move it. I'll just move the total supplier folder. Because if you're in a VPN environment, like if you move the larger file size, that will take
it
will
will
take
take
more than 1 hour, right? So that will waste your time. That's the reason. Just move what is required. So now in the supplier web UI, we will have that particular CO, the CO which was shown here, like supplier create CO. Supplier create. Can you see that? Supplier create CO.
Yes.
Okay. Now, yes. So we have moved the files, nothing but we got the page name, we got the CO file. Now perform the extension. Okay. Now go to JDeveloper. Okay. So make sure that you create a workspace, OA workspace, then you create a OA project. Okay. Then now you create a new Java class. You just create a new Java class. If already workspace and project is there, directly create a Java class. If you don't have workspace and a project created already, then what you have to do is you have to create the new workspace and new project. Now in our case, we already have a workspace, so I'll not recreate it. I can use the existing workspace and project. Okay. Or let us say for clarity, let us say as we are working on a first time, what we can do is, let us say I don't want to disturb the existing workspace. Okay. Now what you can do is on this application, click on new OA workspace. So you can mention some name for this workspace. I'll just say OAF extensions. This is my workspace name, OAF extensions. Click on OK. Click on next. Now it is asking what is the project name. I'll just say OAF extensions project. And remaining thing, just go with the default, nothing to change. Next and finish. And now if you observe carefully here, now in the OAF extension project, just expand this one. Click on application sources. Again, it shows all the things which are already there. Can you see? So this is one of the drawback in the JDeveloper 10G version. But in latest version of JDeveloper, this is not the case. Okay. So in the JDeveloper 10G, whether you create any number of workspace, the existing modules will be shown by default there. So what you can do is you can perform right click here on a particular package level. Perform right click in a particular package level. There is an option called, if you don't have this one, what you can do is just select the package. Can you see here? Exclude.
exclude project content.
Yeah. So it will just exclude here. It will not physically delete it. It's just logical deletion. It will not perform the physical deletion. It performs a logical deletion. But like here, if you are working on a multiple JDeveloper versions, maybe in the near future, if you work on JDeveloper 11G, be careful while you performing exclude. Recently I did it. I lost my total source code. Okay. So we have to be very much careful whether you are excluding something or whether you are deleting it. Now in our case, it is exclude only, because I just generally work in the OAF area, right? So I thought it's same thing. In the ADF, the total is gone, everything gone.
Oh, okay.
Okay. I mean, we had an option there actually. I was not aware. I did not check the options properly. I just in a fast manner, I thought, okay, both are JDeveloper version, both are from Oracle. I just did the same thing and it totally gone. Okay. So we have to be very much careful when you perform this. Anyways, in our JDeveloper 10G, it is just an exclude. Click on yes. Now it is just excluded. See, why are we excluding? Because see, when you're working in extension, we don't want to see other source codes, right? What is the need of seeing the other source code, isn't it? That's the only reason. Okay. I just excluded something which are not relevant to this particular extension project. Let the other thing be like this. Okay. XX is already there. Let it be like that. Now in this one, on the project, perform a right click on new. Can you see here Java classes? There is nowhere you will see an option called CO extension, new CO. You will not have that option. Okay. You will not have any wizard. You will not have any wizard to perform the creation of a CO. You will just have only creation of the Java class. Okay. Now click on Java class here. Now what is the name package? These are three important properties you have to mention. The name of the Java class, the package, and what it is extending. Now here comes the important property here. So now here comes very much important property. Name, package, and extends. So this extends this one. Okay. And package, what we have to do is we generally follow like this. We'll have the same base structure, but prefixed by your XX. What are we following? AMCG?
XX AMCG, yes.
Yeah. So we'll follow like this, and this is a package structure. And the Java class file, what we do is we just mention like this: ex1, 2, something like that. Understand?
Yes.
So now this is my class name. I'll just mention here. And what is the package? XX AMCG and everything. The reason is, the developer can let us say initially if you are the developer, later on if some other developer is working, he can clearly find out, okay, this particular belongs to this particular extension and this module kind of thing. That's the reason we have to maintain the same package structure. That's the only reason. Now here extends, we have to mention this one. So here now if you observe, when I mention here, just click on browse here, click on browse, just type here class, it has to show this one. Why it is getting shown? Because we have moved the CO file to the CO class file to the JDeveloper my class. That is the reason it is showing, else it will not show that. Okay.
Okay.
Because we already have the CO file in the my classes folder. That's the reason when you type this one, it is showing, else it will not show that. So that is the reason we have to move the class file first, then you have to perform the extension. Okay. Done. Now click on OK. Now these are name, package, extends, and the other properties. This particular constructor, this is not required. Either checking or unchecking is okay. Main method, yes, we does not require main method. We should not use main method at all in this scenario. And the public, yes, it should be public. And click on OK. Now can you see? It is not generating our, the process request or process form request. That's other problem. It will not generate that. So what we can do is either we can type it, or maybe from the earlier COs, just copy that. I'll copy that because even I don't remember that. So just copy this dummy things. Okay. Process request, process form request. Now can you see here? It is extending this particular class, supplier create CO. But if you see the class files which we created so far, you can observe that. If you see the existing AMCG classes which we created so far, they will be extending OA control implementation. Can you see? They're extending OA control implementation. But in our case now, we are extending the supplier create CO. But if you click on supplier create CO, this will extend the OA control implementation only. Okay? Extending is a concept of inheritance. Just go through that once. Now, coming to our like extension CO. Here we don't want to write any business logic as of now. What we want to do is let's just a basic level of extension, right? So I'll just write some log here. Page context dot write diagnostics. So far we know the basic thing, right? The system.out.println. But here this is like, you know, your diagnostics. You can write the log on the page at runtime.
Okay. Same like DBMS.
More powerful than that.
Okay. But only while runtime on the page it will show.
Yes, right. Okay, now this is what I have written here. I'll just say here PR method of this particular CO name, and I'll say PFR method of okay. You can also just try something like here, like this. Just a demonstration kind of thing, okay? It's not the real logic at all. We just need to understand the process first, okay?
Okay.
So this one. Now what we have to do? Perform compilation here. Click on make. We cannot run it, okay? Don't run it. Just perform, right click on the CO file and click on make or rebuild. So what it will do? It will generate the class file. It will just generate the class file. Now what is the next thing here? If you go to my classes, you can see the class file here. xxamcg, can you see? It got generated, right? xxamcg.
Yes,
Now,
yes.
so what we do, I'll just move the total folder, xxamcg and everything, right? Now if you see here, got it? The class file. We created the Java program, we compiled it, and we moved the total folder structure from local machine to the server. Done? Now, so we created the file, and the next thing is perform personalization on the page. Okay, mention the new CO there. Now what we do, go to the page, go to the standard page now. So here, do we have an option personalize? Yes. Click on personalize page. And here on the layout, at this level, page layout level, and it shows the personalize button icon. Click on personalize. Okay. Now we can perform the extension at different levels. Okay, but I will, as of now, let's get into the site level. Now can you see here, the original definition is this one, right? Oracle Apps, POI, supplier, FBI, supplier creates CO. Always observe this one, whether are you performing the extension of an appropriate CO or not. If you try to extend another CO, simply the page will crash. Okay. Now what we do, the next thing is make sure that you mention the total path of your CO. Now this is our path and this is our CO name, right? The total package path followed by the class name. Copy this one. Okay. Now here at the site level, mention this. Now click on apply. Now if you see here, this one result got changed, right here. It is referring to XXAMCG. Okay. Now before applying, you can also observe here from the database level. We can also observe from here, right? Select start from JDR paths where path underscore name is equal to this name. Hopefully it should have single record. Now what we can do, once you click on apply, you'll have one more record now, because we are performing personalization at the supplier site, site level, right? So whenever you perform personalization at any level, always you'll have an extra record, right? It depends upon the levels.
Okay, so for each extension operations, we should have this personalization also to
Yes.
the page to be the part of application.
Yeah, it all depends upon which level you're applying. Let us say supplier level, you can have one CO. Responsibility level, you can have one more CO. Organization level also you can have one more CO. Yes, we can have different COs.
Okay.
Or else, yeah, it depends upon the requirement. We can have different COs at different levels. That is possible. Now we got two records, right? One is the original document. Other one is a personalization document, right?
Yes.
Yesterday we saw this kind of logic, right? Path underscore doc ID.
Mm-hmm. Introduce internal document ID, path ID, correct.
Okay, got it now? This one, it shows it clearly. POI supplier web UI. So now here it is showing at this level, right? This is where it is getting stored the personalization, whatever we have done, right? Site level. And if you want to know
Yes.
what is there at this level, then what we can do? Now we know what is the document ID, right? Observe here. Whatever we did it, we get stored here. Select start from JDR, components as well as attributes. So we can directly go to attributes level, right? We can go to attributes level where attribute underscore comp underscore doc ID is equal to this one. Now it shows our class file. Can you see the control class?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So whatever the personalization which we have done, it is getting stored at this level, right? It is only about the personalization. The file moving, that is a different one, right? The file which we moved to Java top, that's a totally different story again, isn't it? So when you perform extension, you have to create your Java file, move the class file, and then you also need to perform personalization also. Okay?
Correct. Okay.
Yeah. Now, yes, our personalization is done. Click on return to. Now, to know whether this our particular CO extension is getting called or not, what we have to do, what you can do is click on diagnostics here. Because we have not written any logic, we are not sure whether it's working or fine or not, right? That's the reason. Enable the diagnostics. Click on the diagnostics link. Click on show log on screen, and click on statement level. Because we have written the document, we have written the log to be shown at statement level. That's the reason. Mention the statement here. Click on go. Now the log will be enabled. So the problem with this particular diagnostics is it will not go back to the page where we are. So we have to navigate to that particular page again. Click on suppliers. I'll click on create supplier. Now, yes. How do we know our log is called? We just search with whatever we wrote, right? I'll just search with the things which we wrote. I'll just search with this one, and we should have the statement here. Can you see? XX AMCG dot Oracle POI supplier, and it shows what is our extension, right? The EX1.
Yes.
Okay. Now let us say perform some event now. Let us say without entering any data, I'll just click on apply. Of course, it is having form validation, so it will not work. The CO will not be called, right? Form validation, it is a JavaScript level itself, it will stop. I'll just click on apply. So I think it will get applied because that's only one mandatory parameter, and which is a form validation. So I think it will go to the next page. So now our PFR method which we wrote may be shown or may not be shown. Let's try that. Let's try. Yep. Can you see the PFR method? PFR method of supplier create CO. And even name, it is just printing the null because it is not referring to the appropriate event what we have mentioned there. Okay, understood?
Yes.
Now let us say, now what we want to do is assume that you have a requirement. Assume that you have a requirement. Whenever user enters the organization name as lead technologist, you don't want to allow him to create. You just want to stop it. Okay, the requirement is, let us say if the user enters the value of the organization name as lead technologist, you just want to throw an exception saying that you cannot create. Basic validation, right? Now what we have to do, first of all, what are the things? Validate the organization name and if org name is equal to this one, raise an exception. Got it? This is the thing which we want to achieve. Now we have just seen how to handle the CO, right? We just saw what is the process involved in performing extension. Now the next thing what we want to do is we want to handle the button as well as we want to handle the name of the like what are the name which user enters in that particular component. Now first of all, how do we handle the button? We know how do we handle the button in the normal. It's a custom page. In the custom page we know the process, but in the seeded page how do you handle the button? So first of all we have to know the button ID, right? Generally there's a custom page or seeded page. Until unless you know the button ID we cannot handle it, isn't it? So now here we got the XML which we just initially we got it, right? The XML. We extracted the XML of our seeded page, right? Now can you see the apply button here? Apply button.
That is a button ID.
Yes, this is a button ID. So now what I can do? So now we know what is the button ID. So I'll go to my CO, and here the other thing is if you're trying to modify the existing CO, nothing but if you're modifying the existing class, you require the Apache bonds. Understand? Because
Okay.
it's not like a database object. Database object, you can modify the existing package. There is no database bonds. But in the Java terminology, this will not work. Whenever you modify the existing Java program, we have to stop and start the server. That is called bouncing. So, but in our case, we don't want to stop it because we are initially in the development stage. The preferable choice for the developer is, I'll just rename my program. I'll create a new program with a new name. Simple. So I'm just renaming like this. Okay. Save as, you just perform save as, give a new file name and give a new class name. That's it. So it will create a new file now. Okay. So now the next thing is you want to handle the button. So I'll just say, I'll remove this logic. If page context dot get parameter, mention this name not equal to null. And also one more important property is, so this particular super dot process form request should be after our custom logic. Why? Because we want to call the seeded logic later, not the first. If you mention the seeded logic first, what will happen is it will create the supplier and then it will handle the button. That becomes a totally wrong thing. Okay.
Okay.
Now we have to get the name of the, we need to get the value, right? What is the value which user enters in the organization name, but we have to know the component ID. So from somewhere here we'll get it, right? Search for that. Do you see the organization name?
Yes, below the role name. That is form value.
Yeah, okay, form value. Okay. Okay, let's try again. Yeah, LOV item. But where is LOV? Message text input, right? Okay, what we can do is just here. Maybe this is a shared region, I guess. This is shared region. That's the reason we may not have information here. Maybe if you observe carefully, there should be extents. Can you see here? This default single column supply details region. What is the region name here? This arg region, right? Just search with arg region. Arg RN. Can you see? OA default single column arg region, and it is extending something, right? Can you see extends? Here, extends.
Yes.
So when it is extending something, that will not be available in the same page, right? So we have to get the XML of that. Oh man, this much big name. God. Okay, this is a region name. Now what I can do? Go to the here and okay. Now we got the ID. Let's get the ID.
Generally, in extensions for finding out the accurate file also will be a task, no?
Yeah, that is
And
where your
items, which
yeah, that is where your total time will get wasted. Technically it is same. Technically whatever the coding which we do for custom pages, it is same. The problem is only this kind of thing. Finding out the yeah. Can you see? Organization underscore name. Okay.
OA message text input, yes.
Yeah. So what we can do now, string org name is equal to, either way you can directly type page context dot get parameter, right? Or maybe OA message text input also you can get it. If it works this way, that's fine. If it doesn't work in this way, then we have to follow some other approach also now. Let us say if org name is not equal to null, and if it is equal to something like this, okay, that's it. We just added our logic and let's see how it works. And for our reference, better always print the value also, the organization name. If let us say if this logic is not working, we have to know what is the value actually. Are we able to capture the organization name or not? We have to know it, right? So always print like this, because we cannot debug this particular program, right? The only way you can debug is by enabling the diagnostics. There is no other way at all. Now rebuild. Latest class file got generated. Move the latest class file. Okay. Now perform the personalization again. Now perform the personalization again. Right. Now click on personalize. Okay. Now here mention the ex2, because I don't want to bounce. That's the reason I'm just changing this extension. Else always modify your Java, move the class file, bounce the server, and then again perform again, come to the page. But rather than that initial approach, the easier best approach is you just rename it until unless everything is okay, then you have the appropriate file name and then bounce it. That's the easier thing. Click on return to, because you have to maintain the naming convention, right? Now, if you go on EX1, EX2, and EX3, your developer may not access, your lead may not access, right? They may not accept.
Okay.
Right? Now, let's try again. Click on apply. Can you see? Understand? Got it? So we are able to capture what user entered, and also we are able to capture the button event, and we just stopped it.
Okay.
Understood? So this is how we have to handle the button, and this is how we have to get the items. So the only problem you generally come across is like, how do you get the appropriate item? Like what is the item ID and these things. We just got how do we got the item ID? By finding out the shared region, right? Then only we got it. Else we cannot get it, right?
Yes.
Else it is very difficult to get the item ID. So we have to carefully find like where exactly the item is, whether it is in the main page or whether it is in the shared region. If it is in a shared region, get it properly from the appropriate shared region. Okay.
Yes.
So the same way, we can handle all the items, like we can get all the item information. Let us say if alias name is something like that, you just can validate it. Let us say Duns number, you want to validate Duns number, yes. Get the item ID and validate it, right? That's how you have to validate each, and based on the requirement, we can handle it. Because, let us
Okay.
say,
So generally for
yes.
real-time scenario, the most for CO extensions, the validations only will come.
Yeah, mostly validations only. That's the reason, right? Now let us say simple basic validation. I'll tell you, like while creating a supplier, whenever user selects the Canada as a country, they want to make sure that the province should be entered. Whenever the user selects the country as Canada, they want to have the province as mandatory. These are the basic things, right? That's how
Okay.
we have to extend the CO and then we have to do it. So the basic way to understand whether you have to go with the extension or personalization is Whenever you have any conditional logic, always CO extension is the only thing. Now let us say in our case, our basic requirement was whenever the user enters the organization name as lead technology, we want to stop it. So using personalization, we cannot achieve it because we cannot handle the button in the personalization. That's the reason we went for CO extension.
Mm-hmm.
Got it?
Correct.
Now, so this is a basic level which we have done. Now coming to the migration, like if you want to migrate this particular logic, what we have done, what we have to do? Let us say if you want to migrate this particular total extension, what we have done, and what are the components we have to move to the target instance? One is class file, right?
Yes.
Another one is personalization, both the things. So personalization, the same thing which we have downloaded yesterday, right? Functional administrator, download. So if you want to migrate an extension, we have to make sure that you have to move the, you have to copy the class file and also the personalization, whatever you have done. These two things has to be done. Clear?
Yes.
And let us say if you want to disable or something, what you can do, you can just click on personalized page, and sometimes it shows a different page. So just click on cancel and try it again. Sometimes it will show this. Yeah. Now can you see here? It shows manage levels. When you click on personalize, we generally use to perform personalize, right? But here there is an option called manage levels. Not this, I guess. 1 minute. Manage levels, yes. Okay, manage levels. And can you see now? We have an option to deactivate. You can have
Mm-hmm.
an
Okay.
option to deactivate. You can just click on deactivate if you want to deactivate the personalization. Delete, yes, we can delete a personalization also. Okay. So this is how we can perform the basic CO extension. Now, so I'll stop here, but tomorrow what we do is using CO extension, we'll see how do you embed a custom region, and also we'll see how do you create a button dynamically, and also we'll try to see like uh, how to call same thing like we know right how to call a PL/SQL program using CO extension. I mean CO. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not sure we
So
covered or
yes.
not, but whatever the logic we write in the AM, that should be written in the CO. That's the only difference. Okay.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah, we'll see these three things in the next class.
Yeah. Fine.
Yeah. So I'll send you the PPT. Just go through it once. You have already have the
Yeah.
same setups which are there. So if you understand the process, your off job is done. We just need to understand the process carefully. The remaining the coding, whatever we have done, the same coding applies.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I got it.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. We'll see you then later on
Okay.
tomorrow.